Yo, 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 yo. What's up, everyone? It's time for Spoiler Alert, the show where we may or may not spoil your favorite topic depending on when you're tuning in. So please listen at your own risk. Either way, here's a spoiler alert to start off your day. Laughter and good times are definitely on the way. Don't forget to hit that follow button on Twitch if you haven't already. Make sure you turn those notifications on, and our show will air live every Monday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. My name is Justin Time, your host, and spoiler alert, today I'm actually battling a little bit of a cold, so if you hear me being a little nasally, I do apologize, but I'm still here, still going to provide you guys some awesome news, so I'm happy to be here with everybody.
And my name is Scante. Spoiler alert, it's pronounced Scante, not Scanty. I guess my spoiler alert for today is I'm also getting hit hard by daylight savings time, which I just learned. And I don't want to spoil this for Ryan, but not everybody practices that. So apparently we'll get into that a little bit later.
With that being said, it's your boy Big Black, and you know I'm big and I'm black. You feel me? And I'm gonna tell you right now, daylight savings time is the biggest bitch I think I've ever heard of in my fucking life whatsoever. If you ever been slapped in the face, daylight savings time is worse. I promise you.
Big facts, big facts.
I don't know about that.
I think it's definitely contributing to my cold a little
It
bit.
depends on who you're getting slapped in the face by. Have you seen those slap competitions that they do in like Russia?
Have you
and
seen
shit?
them motherfuckers get knocked the fuck out too?
Bro,
Dog? Like
Their ears are bleeding and shit.
Like,
favorite is when the
like I
midgets
feel
do it. I
sorry
don't
for
know
them.
why
One
I
girl
enjoy
like
that
cried
game,
after she slapped the shit out of somebody.
What'd you say, Justin?
I said my favorite is when they have the midgets do it. Have you seen that one? They have like midget slapping competitions. So,
No, but
I
my
don't know
brother's
what-
like
is midget
super.
slapping
He like
the
follows
term,
it.
right?
He like knows the dude's like names and stuff. He's like, oh, this dude's like the best. He's like, he's not gonna go down.
Your brother
And like, sure
would
enough,
be
it's
in
some
there.
giant ass like Russian or like Uzbekistani dude that's just like looks like he could probably deadlift 700 pounds,
No
and he's
problem.
just oh.
I heard that they're
Oh.
like gonna start like making like you know how they do like baseball cards and shit. Apparently, there's like an effort to like make like trading cards for like the slap box and shit. So
Really?
Yeah.
They need to have like hand span on the back of it too, because they be having some monster.
Oh,
ass
dude, like
fucking hands,
measurements.
bro.
dude, they
Hell
got
yeah,
some
they
6
hand and shit.
4 with an 8-inch hand span.
Like,
Can you
fuck.
imagine like creating like a freaking card game around that shit and people have like special abilities and stuff? You have a
Although I
50%
did used to
chance
do
go
that
deaf.
in college when I would get really drunk, I would ask people to like slap me in the face really hard. I don't know why, it was really fucking weird, but like
'Cause you're
if I
white.
got
'Cause
to
you're
a certain
white.
point, I'd be like, dude, slap me in the face, like really fucking hard.
That's exactly what I want to do with today. Slap me in the face.
Definitely.
Speaking of getting slapped in the face, funny story. This person didn't actually get slapped in the face, but I felt like they got slapped in the face. So I was in the airport this weekend, went to Florida on a little trip. And on the way there, we're sitting down at our gate, waiting for, to board the plane. And as people are getting off this plane, me being the nosy person that I am, I overhear these two people talking. And from what I can gather, it was a black woman and a white man. And they probably were in their late 40s, early 50s. And what I can gather is that they sat beside each other on the plane, but they didn't know each other because they were talking about like, oh my God, like I had such a good conversation. Like it was so nice meeting you, like all this and all of that. And then the guy goes, he's like, yeah, it must have been like fate. And he was like, would you like want to get dinner with me sometime? And she immediately
Man.
like stopped dead in her tracks. And she was like, no, I can't. And he was just like frozen solid. He didn't know what to say, and he was just like, oh, okay, like do you mind telling me why? And no bullshit, she was just like, you're not my type. And then she walked off and he was just standing there.
Damn.
I felt so
Dirty
bad.
as fuck.
I felt so
Damn,
bad for
bro.
him. It was wild. And I was just like, these are like 45, 50-year-old people, and like she just definitely like slapped him in the face with the decline to get like dinner or lunch later. So I felt bad for the guy because he must have been like saucing her ass up on that plane. He just
Dude.
knew he was about to get them digits, dog.
Why didn't you just give him a fake ass number, man? Like I get it. Like it would have been more wrong to get a fake number, but I mean, think about it. You got like 200 people like just looking at you, like hit on this
Dude,
girl, like, hey man, I'm gonna shoot my shot.
Airport.
Brick, like damn.
Yeah, he bricked hard.
Fuck,
I mean,
bro.
I don't think like I looked around and I don't think too many people were paying attention because most people are just like going about their own like fucking lives.
Motherfucker, you did.
Yeah,
you
you
know
did.
that motherfucker got
That's
shot
because
down.
like I pay attention to shit that's going on in like the airport, man. You gotta always be.
Yeah,
I'm sure there were some
you
other
do.
people that heard it, but for the most part, it wasn't like everybody was looking around and just like, oh, this man just got decline. So, but I did.
That
feel
would have
bad
been
for
me.
the
I
guy.
would not hold you on that. That would have been me.
Justin or Ryan would have been like, "Yo."
I would have been like that. I just was like, damn, bro. Like,
Damn, son. Yeah, it was rough, and I feel like he,
Oh, man.
he didn't literally get slapped in the face, but that definitely was like a slap in the face. So
I'd rather get slapped in the face than that any fucking day of the week, dude.
hey, man,
Big
feel bad.
L,
Hey,
R.I.P. to my man's, dude. Whoever that guy is.
100% of the shots you don't take. At least he tried. I mean, at the end of the day,
Hey,
he
hey,
probably,
dude, you shoot your shot. You gotta do king
he'll
shit,
never
dude.
see
Keep your head up,
his-
king.
Keep your head up, King. It's all
Keep your head
good.
up, King. He'll never see her again. He'll never see me or anybody else who overheard it again. So I'm
Yeah.
not mad at my boy.
No, not at all. You gotta shoot your shot. Oh, that's rough though.
I know it was.
That
rough.
is, bro.
It was rough. All right. Well, we will go ahead and move on. So let's get into, one of our favorite topics, spoiled news. So we can talk about some of the things going on in the world today. I'll kick it off. So no surprise here. New Batman show is coming out featuring, guess what? Not Batman. For context, the last live action Batman show we got aired in 1966. And it lasted for 3 seasons. So 1966 was the last time we got a full-blown Batman TV show. In recent history, we have had a ton of Batman adjacent shows, such as Gotham, Pennyworth, Batwoman, and now the new show that I was talking about, Gotham Knights. Apparently, there are also 2 TV shows in development based on the most recent Matt Reeves' The Batman movie. So the Penguin, who was played by Colin Farrell in the movie, he's getting his own TV show, as well as they're making an Arkham Asylum TV series based in that universe. So I am super excited about those last 2 shows, don't get me wrong, but please, for the love of God, can you just give me a show that actually features Batman? Like, these companies have more than enough money to pour into it and make it great, but no, I'm stuck with everything but Batman until God knows when. So anyways, new show, Gotham Knight, airs tomorrow, 9 p.m. on the CW, and that's my spoiled news.
Dude, CW always with it. Wasn't Green Arrow? Wasn't that a Batman?
Oh yeah,
adjacent
Arrow
show
was
too?
one of my favorite shows. Some of it was corny and cheesy. Don't get me wrong, as any I think superhero like medium is, like, there's some cheesiness to it, but overall it was a pretty good show. It was pretty dark at times, so they literally could just take that format and make a Batman show. But no, they want to give us Gotham Knights where Batman's dead. So that may have been
Is
my-
Colin Farrell playing the Penguin in the show?
Not this show. This show isn't based
Okay.
in the Matt Reeves universe. There's 2 more shows that are coming out that will be based in that universe. And that
How many
wasn't
different Batman universes are there? I have a lot of questions about this.
I mean, it depends. Like a lot.
A lot. Like, how many different Batmans have there been?
What multiverse is the Batman?
There've been 6, if I'm not mistaken. 6 live action Batmans. Including the ones from like the 70s. That number may be off, give or take a few. And then you've had some that have popped up in the TV shows, but it's not a TV show that like features him as the main character, right? And that's what aggravates me. So
he has appeared in the shows though?
he has appeared in some of them. Like, I think the last episode of Gotham was literally a pan out of him. Because Gotham is set when, like, Batman's, like, young. And then they, like, time skip forward to when he, like, first becomes Batman. He was mentioned, of course, in the Batwoman show. I haven't seen Pennyworth, so I don't know. I just know that that's not about Batman. It's about Alfred Pennyworth as Butler. And then Gotham Knights, I know that Batman is dead. Like, that's the premise of the show, so no spoiler there. They literally talk about it, like, in the trailer, so.
Oh, okay. Because I was wondering if it was like some kind of like licensing thing where like, oh, you can have the rights to these characters, but you can't have Batman himself. But if he's popped up, I don't get it.
Nah.
What were you saying, Ryan?
I was about to ask where they pinch him from the game, since the game came out and it was basically the same premise, wasn't it? Like, that was a trailer. Like, didn't you watch Batman get his ass beat?
No, it's different. I mean, I think there will be some things that are similar, but it's definitely not going to be, like the game. Because from what I heard, the game is trash. So there's a game called Gotham Knights for anybody who's listening out there, and it did not get good reviews. So
Not Arkham Knight.
No, Gotham Knights.
no, this is Gotham Knights. Yeah, Arkham Knight was good. I mean, it wasn't the best rated of the Arkham series, but it was still a good game.
And Gotham Knights was basically like, oh, we're going to introduce a good game that's going to be in 4K at 60 frames per second. And it's like, 120 hertz? I'm sorry. And then all of a sudden, 2 months before it releases, boom, you know what? Let's just make it normal at 30 frames. Like, wait,
Exactly.
what? Why the fuck would you do that? Like,
Bro,
makes no sense.
2023. Come on. All right. Well, thanks for the update. I can always count on Justin to keep me straight on all the shit going on with Batman because I can't keep up with it for sure. I basically just watch the movies, and that's about it. Speaking of things coming back, something that's personally very exciting to me, close to my heart, Roadhouse. Roadhouse is back, y'all. Late 2023, they're set to release this Roadhouse remake starring Jake Gyllenhaal. He was recently seen at UFC 285, actually filming scenes for the movie. So for those of you who don't know, Roadhouse was a 80s movie back, or a Patrick Swayze movie from the 80s where he was basically a drifter, or what they call a cooler, where he would go to like these wild ass bars that were like just bloodbaths every night because people were fighting and drinking and stuff like that. And he would like set them straight. So think like Bar Rescue, John Taffer, but in the 80s. And he knew a bunch of martial arts. He would kick people's asses. At one point, he rips a dude's throat out at the end of the movie. That's a whole different thing. So he falls in love. Obviously, there's a bunch more drama to it, but it's a great movie. If you haven't seen it, go back and watch it. It does hold up. So I don't know how close they're going to be keeping to the original plot. I'm assuming it's some mysterious guy with a hard background who can fight, who goes and straightens up bars and pisses some people off. Like, nothing surprising there. But what is surprising is that it's going to be the debut acting career of none other than Conor McGregor.
Oh,
What?
He's going to play a part in this new Roadhouse remake. I don't know if they don't know what it's going to be. They don't know if he's going to be like there's like a mentor character, or he could be the opposing character. We don't really know. But anyway, like I was saying, Jake Gyllenhaal was recently seen at UFC 285 where they filmed scenes live in the octagon with the crowd going and him fighting and like fake fighting a dude and like beating his ass and stuff like that. So I'm assuming that would be like the beginning of the movie is like that's his background as a UFC fighter, and then he turns into a bouncer. I don't know. Either way, I'm excited. I will probably go back and watch the original one at some point. Have y'all seen it?
no.
Nope.
I haven't seen.
We gotta watch that movie,
I haven't
dude. That's a
seen Bar
good ass
Rescue
movie.
either, so.
Oh.
Yeah,
There's a lot of fucking fighting.
I did
and,
see Jake Gyllenhaal and like the whole UFC shit, but I thought he was training for like a UFC movie. I didn't realize it was for this movie.
Yeah. Side note, he looks fucking ripped.
Oh yeah, he's ripped, bro. He's ripped for sure.
It's crazy.
Now, when you said that he rips the original ripped somebody's throat out at the end of the movie, I'm like, damn, like
It's like a whole thing. They like build up to it the whole time because he like did it to this one dude like a long time ago, and he's like not about that life anymore. He's never
It's
gonna
like,
do it again, but of course he gets forced to. At
Is
the
it
end.
like John Wick
It's
with the
wild.
fucking pencil?
Say what?
I said, is it like John Wick with the pencil? You know, they
Yeah.
build up to this pencil thing, and it's like he killed a guy with a fucking pencil. And
Yes,
then we finally
that's
get to see
exactly
it.
what it's
Yeah.
like.
All right.
So anyway, I'm excited. More to come. I'm sure we'll bring you a review.
Absolutely. I'm about to check out the old
I'm
one
with
for
that.
sure.
I ain't even gonna lie. I'm a little intrigued. I might watch the original with you if you want to have a movie night at the crib.
I will fucking have you guys over watch that because that movie's great.
Let's do it.
All right.
Let's do it.
Well, unfortunately, when we do it, we're gonna have to deal with daylight savings time. Bullshit ass shit. If you guys didn't know, if you don't have like Amazon Alexa or iPhone, I don't know if Androids update. Justin, I think you can confirm.
Here
Right?
you go.
I'm just saying. I
Yes,
just want to know.
Androids
Does it update daylight savings time, or do you have to
Yes,
manually
does.
do it?
No, it does it all for you. Thank you very much. I always hate
All right,
this
cool, man. It's 2023. Get an iPhone. Anyway, so daylight savings time happened Sunday. What was it? 2 a.m. It all of a sudden bounced to 3 a.m.
Yep.
Let me tell you how much bullshit this is, fellas, and everybody in the chat. We don't even need it anymore, technically. If you don't know about the history, technically, daylight savings time was meant for the war. Also for harvesting, apparently. So when the kids got out for the summer, the kids would harvest and all this shit. But for the war in particular, they wanted basically to save energy and shit. So they wanted an extra hour of daylight, which I think is stupid. Because jump to 2023, what fucking war do we need to build shit with now? Like, what are we dealing with to the point where we need it?
No comment.
I mean,
What war was this? 1 or 2?
one actually.
All right.
Yeah, I think it's
I mean,
kind of
there are a couple states that don't even practice it anymore, right?
Yeah, like what? Arizona, Hawaii, Puerto Rico, shit like that. But still, majority of the U.S. and the Canada still have to bother with the shit.
Yeah.
Like I don't understand it. Like take the shit away. Like we don't even need it anymore. Like honestly, do you think we need it? Is there a purpose for it?
The only benefit that comes from it, for me personally, and I don't think this is a reason to say like we need it. Excuse me. But in the summer, I do like the time change because you basically get more daylight, right? Like, but the flip side of that is the time moves forward and you lose an hour and it fucks up your, what is it called? Your arcadian rhythm. Your circadian rhythm for like 2 weeks. So
Arcadian rhythm.
Is it Arcadian or circadian? Which one is it?
It's circadian.
Your Sir Arcadian rhythm gets fucked up.
y'all.
It's not circadian. So I'm wrong too.
Circadium with an M. Circadian rhythm.
Whatever. You know what the hell I'm talking about.
I think you're lying.
That shit is fucked
Look it up.
And basically, for 2 weeks, you're just like out here, just like not living your best life because your senses and everything else is thrown off. So my vote, get rid of it, and then we don't have to worry about it. So.
It was still dark this morning when I logged on to work. And that's what pissed me off. Like, I was like, that's bullshit. And now I got to drive in the shit tomorrow morning. And it's like, motherfuckers don't know how to drive anyway. And people don't be turning their lights on and shit. So now I got to deal with it in the morning. Like, the other week, as a matter of fact, like, I left pretty early and it was still relatively, like, it was cloudy and shit. It's raining and people don't have their lights on. So imagine it raining at like 7:30 and it's still dark out. Come on now.
Do people either drive with no lights on or their fucking brights on? And it drives me nuts.
Insane, bro. Insane.
Half the cars in our city, I swear, half the cars have to be at least 50% driving with their brights on. I was sitting at an intersection the other night with a dude, and I was just like flashing my brights at him until finally he fucking turned his brights off, and he turns. Car behind him, fucking brights on. I was like, God damn.
Bro, you sitting up high, too. How do you even notice that shit?
Yeah. Oh, I notice it. Pisses me off.
Yeah.
The only silver lining for me in DST is that my boss is in Arizona, so I get 3 hours of my day in the morning to get my shit together and actually get stuff done before she starts hitting me with bullshit.
There you go.
Other than that, fuck it.
Give you that.
No, big facts. So yeah, I mean, daylight saving times, it fucks with us all. So let's check the chat. Let's see what's going on in the chat. I think we got a new chat out here.
We do. Mr. Dogwood Disco. Well, actually, first off, we got E-Connor. These TV shows need to put some respect on Batman's name. I swear everyone has the show except him. He gets the movies. That's the thing. Everybody else gets the TV shows. He gets the movies.
I mean, his standalone movies are great, right? But I mean, overall, the DC Universe movies are not that. We will talk about that later. But yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
But he still should.
I mean, George Clooney nipple suit never will be beaten, in my opinion.
I mean, of course, I actually enjoyed that Batman. I'm not gonna lie.
I'm serious. I'm not like the George Clooney Batmans because I was that age where like this is fucking awesome.
Yeah, it's awesome, isn't it? You had Robin, you had fucking Batwoman or Batgirl, whichever one it was. Hey, you had Arnold Schwarzenegger. Like, come on, bro.
Didn't
dude.
Uma Thurman played Poison Ivy, didn't she?
Yeah, Poison Ivy. Yeah, so you had like the hot girl with tits, and then you had fucking Schwarzenegger making like cold puns the whole fucking movie.
Mr. Freeze.
Mr. Freeze. I love that shit. I was all about it. I was probably, what year did that come out? I was probably like 7, 8 years old, something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know, dude. I was at that age where I was just like, I don't give a fuck. This is awesome.
This is awesome. Still love it. Still love it to this day.
E-Connor also says he needs to see a motherfucker get their throat ripped out. Yeah, if Jake Gyllenhaal doesn't rip a dude's throat out in this movie,
it'll be a waste. It'll be a waste. I got you. Okay. I'm going to check the old one out. Dogwood Disco said this was his old band's name. Spoiler alert. Hey, you might need to get the band back together, bro, and do like a cover song for us, man. Like, come on.
He's in a new band now. Actually, 2 new bands. I talked to him yesterday.
Wait, you can be in more than one band?
Yes, dude,
I thought it was like more than one. Sorry, I just assumed it was almost like a gang thing. Like you can't be in the Bloods and the Crips at the same time. Like, figure if you're in one band, you can't be in another one. Like,
so you can't be in different R&B groups. Is that what you're saying? Like,
I mean, R&B is a little different. I like. Can you slow jam in a band? They rock hard. Like, I feel like you can't be in multiple bands, but apparently you can. So it's all good.
All right.
And dude rips on guitar. He's actually at band rehearsal right now, I think. So shout out to Dogwood.
Hey, shout out, man.
Jumping in.
Appreciate you hopping in. So appreciate that. All righty. Well, that covers our spoiled news for the day. So let's move on. So we are going to do a movie review round robin. So while I was in Florida this past weekend, I actually had some time to get caught up on some movies. Not movies that were in theaters, but movies that were actually released like recently on DVD or on some of the streaming apps. And I thought it'd be a good idea just to cover a few of them in case anybody was interested. So the first one we are going to start off with the movie Megan.
You did not watch this fucking movie.
I did watch it.
He
Bro. I
did?
did watch it. Absolutely.
He did?
The movie about the killer doll. So overall, I'm gonna give it a grade of a C. Honestly, there wasn't really anything special about this movie. Basically, it was just an update to Chucky, if you ask me. I actually watched the unrated version, which had a little bit more blood and gore, I think, than the regular version. It still didn't impress me. Honestly, it wasn't a bad movie, but it was very predictable. So that's why I kind of gave it a C. Like, if you got nothing else to watch and you're interested in, horror movies, this one's definitely not the worst one out there. But there are some far better horror movies out there.
Was it a bad good movie or a good bad movie?
I would go with a decent bad movie. I'm not gonna say good. I'm gonna say decent.
All right, fair enough.
Was it horror or was it suspense? Because in the trailer, I was nowhere near fucking scared. Honestly, I was creeped out because it was like, why?
I think they
falls under horror.
I think they tried to go for the horror, but for me, it felt more like suspense for sure. So, I mean, the only way you're really going to know, check it out for yourself. Like I said, it's not one of those movies where I'm like, this is a complete waste of my fucking time. But by the time I was done with it, I was like, all right, it's just an average movie. Like, I don't need to see it again. So. All right. The next movie we are going to look at is this movie called Sick. So I don't know if you guys have heard of this, but this is actually a Peacock original movie. It's a slasher film. And overall, I thought it was pretty good. I give it a solid B+. So I really enjoyed this movie. I think it was, there were some things that were predictable about it, which is why I probably didn't give it anything in the A category. And it was about what you would expect from a slasher movie. But why I really give it its brownie points is the story had a very unique spin. So I don't know if you guys know, but this movie is basically centered around the coronavirus pandemic during the heat of that. And so that is very much involved in the story. And I actually thought that was a pretty good premise. It was something unique and fresh, not your typical slasher movie plot in terms of what they were trying to accomplish there. So that's why I give it an overall B+. I thought it was a pretty good movie. I would encourage anybody to see it.
People just stabbing each other over toilet paper or what?
Not quite. I don't want to give anything away, but it'll kind of surprise you at the end. You'll be like, whoa, this is some fucked up shit, to be honest. But
is it like a Contagion?
Nah, not like
that wasn't a slasher movie. What?
Yeah.
Yeah, I forgot he said slasher. I don't know, man. That was Contagion was a good movie. You go back.
Contagion was a good movie.
I loved Contagion. Was the one with the monkey, right?
That might be Hot Zone.
Yeah,
you're talking about there was the '90s one with Dustin Hoffman. That was Hot Zone. Contagion was with Catherine Zeta-Jones and I want to say Jude Law. It came out in 2012, 13, something like that. I remember I was in college.
Okay, yeah, no. What I'm thinking of is older than that.
Oh, you're thinking about Hot Zone then. It's a great movie. Dustin Hoffman.
I've seen
Contagion. But yeah, Contagion, I was walking out of the theater and literally everybody was pushing the door with their elbow and hitting the hand sanitizer and shit. I was like, yeah.
Contagion was good, man.
Welcome to my world. That was a good movie.
I'm going to have to check
Both of them are good.
Then. All right, I'm going to check out Contagion. All right, so next on the list, we have the House Party remake. So this was a remake of the classic House Party movie from way back in 1990. So Nick, we've talked about there's a list of black movies that you have to see in order to be black. House Party is definitely on that list. It's a staple in the black community. I think there's 4 of the originals.
Before the remake, yes.
Yeah. And then they decided to remake this one. Overall, I'm going to give it a C-. Honestly, it wasn't that good. I would probably give it a D, but it was featuring an all-black cast, which I appreciated. And there were definitely some good black cultural references in the movie. So that kept it in the C range for me. But outside of that, honestly, the movie was kind of corny. And it really didn't capture the magic of the first House Party and the magic those movies had. So I honestly, I wouldn't recommend anybody watch this movie. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I want to say, oh, watch it because, it's about black people, but honestly, it's kind of bad. So,
Oh, this
um,
is the one where they break into LeBron's house.
yes, correct. That is
Oh,
the
I saw the
premise of
trailer
this
for
movie.
that.
Yeah, they
It was
throw a house
trash. It was
party
horrible.
and-
Horrible as trailer.
Ryan, did you see it?
No, I didn't see that shit.
Oh.
I knew it was gonna be trash, and I know it's gonna be trash. I'm not gonna watch that fucking movie, bro. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
It looked like it could be good.
It was
Look like it could be trash.
It wasn't.
Damn.
It had some
When does your
moments.
trash day run? My shit runs every Friday, and I'm gonna put that movie in that motherfucking trash.
I just remember the scene where they're like in the closet and he's got like the hologram of himself talking. And
Yeah,
he's like,
like I
you
said, that
handled
scene
the
was
move
funny.
out of Cleveland perfectly.
That scene, like I said, there were some funny scenes, but overall it was just corny. There was this whole thing with like a koala, and I was just like, this did not need to be in a movie. It was just dumb, but whatever. That one probably was my least favorite of the movies that I watched this weekend. And then last but not least on my list, I said that right. That's surprising. Legion of Superheroes. So this is a DC animated movie. Overall, I'm gonna give this a solid B. I think the film had a good, solid story, but personally, the story and the character arcs didn't appeal much to me. It revolves around Supergirl. I'm not the biggest fan of hers, like because I just feel like it's like a reskin of Superman, who's already OP as it is, but. So, you think about DC live action and how like their live action movies look to match Marvel. And the way they look to match Marvel is with movies like Batman versus Superman and the first Suicide Squad, right? Absolute trash. But honestly, if they would invest and promote their animated movies, that's where they really have a clear leg up over Marvel. Like they actually have a connected story and a connected universe in their animated movies. So far they have released 50 movies. This DC Legion of Superheroes was the 50th movie in their animated universe. I actually own all of them because I'm a super fan of these movies. And the majority of them fall under what's called the DC animated universe continuity. The universe arc actually ended with the Dark Apocalypse War, which is like the equivalent to like Infinity War. And it was a really good movie. Honestly, like they had like 20 other movies before that led into this one. There were definitely some like points even with an animated movie where I was like, man, this is like touching my soul seeing some of this stuff happen to these characters. And so they wrapped up that continuity, and then now they're doing the Tomorrowverse, which currently has 6 movies in that universe, and this most recent one, Legion of Superheroes, was the most recent in there. So it's crazy to me that DC can actually stick to the comic book plots in the animated movies, but in the live action, they continuously fall short. So, like I said, overall, B grade for this movie. I thought it was, pretty decent film. Not my favorite of the DC animated movies, but definitely not one of the worst ones. And it's a solid movie. And if you haven't, checked out the animated movies at all, I encourage you to look up the DC animated universe and actually start watching some of those films because they're like really, really fucking good. Like they're some of my favorites. So that pretty much wraps up my movie review round robin.
Do you need to watch them in order?
I would encourage you to watch the ones that fall in like the certain universes in order, and you can literally go to Wikipedia and it'll tell you which ones. There are some of them that are standalone films. You don't need to watch those in order. You can watch them whenever.
Cool.
I have seen none of them, but
Um,
people in the chat seem to agree. E-Connor says big facts about the DC animated universe. J Stubbs, DC animated movies kill the live action. So
for sure.
I mean, the live action doesn't set the bar super high, in my opinion. I haven't seen any of the animated stuff. I think the last animated DC thing I watched was probably Batman Beyond.
Oh, they need to give
Hey,
us a
which was
live-action
fire,
Batman
by the
Beyond.
way.
Well, yeah, it was fucking awesome. But
Batman Beyond was the shit for sure.
Batman
Yeah,
Beyond
they
was great.
one of my favorite things about the DC animated movies is like the Batman movies typically feature Damian Wayne as Robin, and they do a really, really good job with like his character. He's become one of my favorite characters in like the DC universe based off the animated movies. Like I've like actually started to like look up some of his like comic book arcs and stuff, and I fucks with Damian Wayne hard. So
nice.
good stuff. All
Well,
right,
I would be
that's all
curious to hear if anyone in the chat has seen any of these movies and what their thoughts are.
for sure.
I'm gonna tell you straight up. Like it seems like DC is great at the animated stuff, but then suck ass at like their live action, and then Marvel's like the exact opposite.
Right.
Like, oh, we got great movies. Like, boy, we dump so much money into our movies, but our animated shit, dumpster fire. Like, what the fuck?
And I mean, I don't even think they put much effort into their animated stuff, right? Like, it's not like they're trying to create any like connected universe or anything. So,
I just hope they get X-Men right.
for sure.
What's the next X-Men thing?
Well, we know live action X-Men's coming to the MCU. We don't know when. And then they're also reviving the 1990s X-Men show. So, I think that's probably what Ryan was talking about.
Like animated?
Yep.
That shit's
go.
Same character,
I hope
same
it's gonna be
storyline,
sick.
like
I hope
all
they
of
do
it.
it right.
I think they will.
Sick. Take us
All
away,
right,
Ryan.
Ryan,
Ooh,
over to you, big dog.
yes. Let's talk about some football, ladies and gentlemen.
Let's
I hope y'all
go.
like football, man. You know, I tried. Fun fact: I tried to get into the XFL. I'm still trying to give it a go, just so I can, like, you know, keep my
Props.
window open. But I'll be honest
Props,
with you,
bro.
it ain't going right.
The only thing I know
man.
about the XFL comes from The Rock's Instagram page, and that's that. I'm
It's
just
funny.
like,
It's sad, dude, but it's funny at the same time. It's like, you know, what's going on? No, I want to talk about free agency in the draft, man. I'll be honest with you. I feel like this is going to be an interesting draft, to say the least. My team, them Carolina Panthers, gave away our only great receiver and a couple of their picks that they actually, well, we tried to get some draft capital back, and guess what? Gave some more away, and I think it's so fucking stupid. Shocker, right? Like, who's stupid? Carolina Panthers? Like, so we got the first round draft pick because we are in dire need of a quarterback.
Yep.
Our quarterback list, obviously the top four, you got CJ Stroud, which I'm hoping and praying we get. We also have Bryce Young, the Alabama. I know we have an Alabama fan in the chat, so
oh man,
I'll let him go ahead and you know, get his little roses, because I know he wants that guy on a good team, and Carolina ain't it, but hey, it's whatever. You got Anthony Richardson, you got Will Levis, I think. Those are your second graders, basically, that people don't think are ready for the NFL just yet, so they feel like they're going to get drafted, but then still sit the bench for a year. But hey, everybody's banking on CJ Stroud, in which case I'm banking on CJ Stroud, because we got rid of Sam Darnold today. Sam Darnold is officially going to the 49ers.
No way. I did not know that.
Yeah, bro. We got rid of Sam Darnold.
Shit.
And they got until Wednesday to talk about PJ Walker. PJ Walker might be gone too.
Yeah,
so
I think it's clear you guys are going for a quarterback first. Personally, I'm not a Panthers fan. Y'all traded away a lot. I mean, y'all gave away damn near your whole team. But at the end of the day, you do have the first pick of what is a really, really good draft class. It's either going to work out very, very well for you guys, and you'll have your franchise quarterback for the next, up 10 years, or it's going to work out very poorly for you, in which case we may not see the Panthers in the playoffs for a very, very long time. So I'm interested to see what happens.
No, because here's the thing. Carolina seems to think that they can, like, all we need is a quarterback. Like, everyone, like, it seems like the owners and everyone who runs this team thinks if we can just get a good quarterback, we'll be back to 2015. Like, no, we fucking gave half our team away. Actually, we gave the whole team away. Not even half the team. Whole team's gone. We don't have a running back anymore. We don't have a receiver anymore. We never had an O-line to begin with. So whatever, even if we get a star quarterback, even if we get Bryce Young or CJ Stroud, like, 2 seasons, they're gonna be fucked up like Cam Newton, because our O-line's a wet paper bag and always has been.
That's my problem right there, right? So you're going to get CJ Stroud. Now, CJ Stroud, to me, like, out of all the backs, seems to be the best pick, right? Bryce Young, I'm sorry, is too short. Anthony Richardson, like, yeah, he's big, but I just don't like the way he throws the ball. Will Levis, honestly, I haven't even done too much research on Will Levis. So I'm a CJ Stroud person. Like, if you told me who I'm taking CJ Stroud. The problem is, you don't have anybody protecting CJ Stroud.
Right.
Like, that's my problem. He's going to be injured. Just like, you remember last year, Corral, and like, it's preseason, and all of a sudden he tears his that freaking plantar fasciitis or something like that. Like, he put his foot wrong or something like that, and then he goes down, and then Sam Darnold gets in, he twists his fucking ankle, he goes down. Like, bro, like,
that's what I'm saying.
What's going on here, man?
And
like,
then it was on CMC to try to carry the whole fucking team.
Yeah. And what are you gonna do with that? Like, even when he tries, he gets hurt. Like, what am I supposed to do, man?
I don't know.
I don't. Carolina makes mistakes. That's the
I
problem.
think y'all will be fine. You got a couple of like free agents on defense. So your defense is gonna get beefed up to a decent place.
Sure.
I'm not gonna say great, but it'll be decent. And then honestly, it's gonna be on what free agents you get on offense, and then who else you guys draft. I don't know what other picks you have, but if you can get one or two decent receivers around CJ, I think y'all will be all right. It really this year is important, but really the following year and the year after that. These next 1 to 3 years are really going to establish y'all, because if you get a QB, you can keep them healthy, and then you get the right pieces around them, you guys could have a really, really solid squad. Don't get me wrong. I don't trust the Panthers to do that based off of history, but I am hopeful. Yeah. I'm not a Panthers fan, but I live in Charlotte, just like you guys, so I do like to see the Panthers succeed. But it's going to be an interesting season for you guys for sure.
I think so, man. And the thing is this, it's like offense and we need a quarterback. Defense, we got Von Bell today. Or was it was either the day or yesterday? I think it was today. We got Von Bell. We also got Shy Tuttle. Yeah, we got him off of the Saints. Moving to that 3-4 defense, I'll be honest with you, I don't know how that's going to work. I guess they're going to rotate him and Derek Brown. But, hey, rotation is always good, keeping fresh legs on the field, so I don't see why not. Build the depth and stuff, Yeah. My biggest thing is this. It's like, can Carolina make a playoff run? I give it to you, Jay, 1 to 3 years, maybe. You know what I'm saying? The issue
We've been
is
saying that for 8 years now.
Well, here's a problem, though. Here's the problem. We got a coach that was still a college coach, basically, tried to bring all that stuff to the NFL. Didn't work, right? Mm-hmm. That's the issue. It didn't work at all. We had dollar store players -1, minus a couple, I would say, DJ for one. But I mean, we had a bunch of dollar store players that, you all of a sudden bring over, and it's like, oh man, these people were great. They just need a fresh start. Well, you can't give them a fresh start with a shitty quarterback.
Right.
That's the issue here. Like, what are we supposed to do here? And then on top of that, by the way, apparently Carolina might be trying to trade down. So you give away our best Carolina. You heard.
No, trying to play who? You cut out.
No, trying to trade down.
Trade down.
Get rid of that first pick for other picks.
Yeah.
Would you like? I mean, granted, there's only 2 teams that they're looking at. I think it's the Colts and Arizona. They're kind of looking at right now, just because they know they can get one of those 4 quarterbacks, regardless. So why don't we get a couple of draft capital, a little bit of draft capital from them? So
I say
we'll see, man.
Keep the first pick. The Panthers is going to be interesting. I think, another team to look at is obviously my team, the Eagles. We pretty much our entire defense is like free agents right now. It's going to be interesting to see how we turn out this next year. Our offense is solid. We're basically not losing anybody on offense. Jason Kels decided he was going to come back and play another season, which is huge for us because he is a Pro Bowl center. The man's a beast. We may lose Miles Sanders, our running back, which, I mean, I want to keep him, but we can replace a running back. But defensive-wise, free agents that we have right now, Darius Slay, huge for us at cornerback. On the other side at cornerback, you got Bradbury, another free agent, and then we got C.J. Gardner-Johnson, who led the league in interceptions last year. He's also a free agent. We lost our best linebacker in T.J. Edwards. I believe he went to the Bears, if I'm not mistaken. And then we also lost Hargrave on our defensive line. He went to the 49ers, which just blows my mind because their defense is already like amazing, and now they're getting more help. So we do have the 10th pick in the draft. I think we're going to go defense for that for sure. And then we also have the 30th pick in the draft. So I think both of those picks, we will probably pick up defensive players and really try to groom them to be the next stars. So offense, we're going to continue to be solid. Jalen Hurts had an amazing year. I can't wait to see what he does next year. Another Alabama guy for you guys in the chat. It's defense, and I'm going to be really, really concerned about for us next year.
Give me that. Who do you think got the best deal so far in free agency?
Hard to say. I'd have to look at everything that's happened. I've only kept up with a couple of teams so far. I would say it's going to be a hindsight 2020 thing, but we could potentially look back on this Panthers like move to get the first pick, and we could look back in a few years and be like, this was like one of the greatest like GM moves of all time, or we could look back and be like, this was absolutely one of the trash moves
100%
of all time.
agree.
Well, the record only points one way.
Yeah, so
You're exactly right.
I don't know. I'm hopeful.
Yeah, I got no faith in
um,
what's his name?
Who, Scott
Owner.
Fitterer?
No.
David Tepper.
Yeah, I got no
Yeah.
faith in Tepper.
The way I see it, Scott Fitterer either just sealed his fate or sealed his spot. You know, it's one of those things where it's like that was either the best decision, and you get to keep your job for another few years, hopefully 5 to 10 years, and get a good team, or you just this was the last straw. Fuck out. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah. So I don't know, Ryan. I can't really say who's had the best free agency. I would say based on where things stand now, in terms of who I could see having the deepest like playoff run. Again, there's still a lot of changes to happen, but I do potentially see it being another Eagles, Kansas City Super Bowl. Other than the 49ers, and depending on what happens with them quarterback wise, I still don't see any team in the NFC being better than us. And I don't see any team in the AFC beating the Chiefs, maybe the Bengals. But outside of that, I think potentially we could see another Eagles-Chiefs Super Bowl. So we'll see.
I'm going to be honest with you, man. And you're my boy. I love you. I don't think the Eagles are going to make it that far. I think they're going to go to the playoffs. I think it's going to last long. I think the 49ers are going.
The 49ers 49ers are our toughest opponent. I'll give you that. Like, I'm not even going to argue with you on that.
Yeah, man, they are stout, bro. They are fucking stout right now, bro. And Brock Purdy's surgery apparently was a successful surgery.
Yeah, but he's not going to be playing this year.
It's either going to be him or Trey because Jimmy Garoppolo went to the Raiders.
Yeah, well, I mean, but he's not like I thought they said his recovery time was like longer than like next season. So.
Oh, I didn't know. I didn't know it was recovery.
From what I heard,
so.
I think that is going to be the biggest question for the 49ers. Like, who's at quarterback for them and how well they do. I mean, it was the biggest question for them this year, and it's a part of the reason why they did lose to us because of that quarterback situation. So I think it'll be between us and them in the NFC based off right now. Obviously, there's a lot that could change that could completely shake some things up. So we'll see. I'm excited for next season, though, for sure.
I am, man. And honestly, like, Carolina, you make me sick sometimes. Like, you make me want to crawl into a corner and fucking cry. But I promise you.
Here's the thing. Like, oh, go ahead. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh, no, it's all good. I'm just going to say, I promise you, I got faith in you. You're going to be the cardiac cats, and that's just how we're going to be. Cardiac cats for the rest of our fucking lives, but whatever.
I feel like the Panthers are like a once-in-a-decade thing. Like, this is the whole time I was growing up as a Panthers fan, I had to literally choose another team to root for just so I could have a team that actually, like, occasionally won as a kid. So, like,
well, based off
I'm used to it.
2005 was like y'all's. When did y'all go to the Super Bowl?
2003. 2003 and 2015.
2000. I forgot about 2003.
We're coming up on another decade, Nick. I mean, 2025. That might be y'all's year, bro. That's not that far away.
Holy shit! It hasn't been almost 10 years into it.
Ain't it?
Whoa.
Yeah. So it might be your year. Connor in the chat said the Bears are the winners right now. I guess in terms of free agency. So we'll see how that shakes out. But we'll obviously have more football to discuss. Definitely want to talk about some things after the draft for sure. This might be the first year. Maybe we should do like a draft party. Maybe we should watch it together. I've actually never actually watched a like NFL or NBA draft. I just always like look up the results like afterwards because I'm just like I'm not about to sit here through all of this. Like, so
right.
I may actually watch.
If you want to do a draft party, hell yeah, let's do that shit.
We could do a draft.
When is it?
Maybe, I have no idea.
I think it's pretty soon.
Probably.
Yeah, it's like 40 days from now.
Oh, we got time. Yeah. Cool. Awesome. Well, thanks for sharing, Ryan. Good luck to the Panthers, but even better luck to the Eagles. Go Birds. Nick, you're up.
All right. So let's talk The Last of Us. Now, for those of you who haven't watched the season finale yet, I'm going to break this up into two parts. We're going to have a non-spoiler review.
Yep.
And we're going to give a spoiler alert. And if you haven't seen it, get the fuck out. I'm going to go in. What?
Mute us, man.
Or mute us. You mute us. We need the view. Don't actually get the fuck
That was very aggressive,
bro.
sir.
Please, we need you. Dude, now that the season has wrapped up, and I know Justin might disagree with me, I think I'm going to throw this out there. I think we might have seen the perfect season of a TV show. Like top to bottom, beginning to end, casting, directing, writing, filming, CGI or lack of CGI in this case. The plot was watertight, no plot holes that I could find. I love finding plot holes. The pacing was on point. Like, y'all, I think this might be it. Like, I don't know another show, even Breaking Bad, which in my opinion, Breaking Bad was like the greatest show of its decade, got annoying and slow at points. And we just deal with that because it's TV. But like, this never got annoying. This never got slow. This never got boring. And I don't know, like now that they've wrapped it up, they started out frame by frame, line by line for the game. They deviated a little bit in the middle, not too much, but they did it right. They did it tastefully, came in at the end, right back to the game, wrapped it up cleanly, but left enough for us to want to watch the next season. Like, I don't know, y'all. This might be the perfect show. What do you think?
I don't know why you said I would disagree with you. I had some.
Did you like picking stuff apart?
No, I wasn't picking it apart. It was just minor like things, but it wasn't anything where I was like, "Oh, this like is detrimental to the show." I think for me personally, I agree with you 100%. There's nothing about it to me that makes it not an A+ show, and maybe makes it not the best TV show, especially in the history of like game and adaptations. I mean, they nailed it.
No question.
My only complaint was, and I think this is just a personal complaint, I personally felt like they went through it too quickly. Like I could have used a couple of more episodes to flesh things out, but I do understand why they did it. They didn't want to drag it out. They didn't want to deviate from, the actual game plot. So I completely understand. This was just a personal preference. I think we could have gotten a little bit more, but I'm completely happy with the way that they did it. It was only just that minor personal thing for me. So I agree with you. A+ all around for sure.
Definitely. Yeah, I would not disagree with. I would not be upset about one or two more episodes. Go ahead, Ryan.
Sure, but honestly speaking, I felt like the pacing was just right. I personally feel like the pacing was just right. I mean, like I watched the game, I never played it, so just put that out there. But I remember looking at it. Remember that? Or like, I see why they did a little bit of deviation, but it worked out perfectly. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I felt like it was paced just right because for somebody that never watched the game or played the game, I mean, they're not going to know, so they need just a casual story, right? And I felt like that was enough of a casual story. I agree with you 110%. I don't see another show where it was just perfect. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Would say Game of Thrones until like season 5, and then afterwards it was like, all right, this is a little bit enough. You know what I'm saying?
We don't talk about Game of Thrones.
And the good news with this is season 2 is does season 2 jump straight into part 2 of Last of Us?
I would think so.
Well, no, they actually announced, and this was a part of like me, in my personal opinion, of like they could have stretched it out. Part 2 of the games will at least be broken up into 2 seasons. They did say it will be multiple seasons, and a big part of the reason why is because the game part 2 takes place years later, and Ellie is much, much older, and I don't think that they want to just jump right into that in the next season. And that was a part of the reason for me where I was like, well, if you can split part 2 up into 2 seasons, you could have probably split up part 1 into 2 seasons. And Ryan, to your point, I do think that I made the opinion that I had about it could have been longer based on the casual viewing experience. Us as gamers, we know the story, right? And if you look at each episode basically takes a significant part, like a significant segment of each game. We'll talk about the chapters of each game, and it basically condenses that chapter down into one episode, right? I feel like there was so much more they could have done in some of those episodes. And again, I'm not complaining from a standpoint of if it was done bad. As a casual viewer, though, I feel like if I was a casual viewer, I didn't know anything about the story, I'd be like, man, they were jumping around fast, because you go from them being in the city, that was like one episode, and then next thing you know, like they're in the fucking mountains, like doing something else. You know what I'm saying? And like these characters that they introduce, we only get, other than Joel and Ellie, we basically only get one episode of any other supporting character.
You didn't think that? You thought that was too little, is what you're saying?
Exactly. Right? I thought it was too. I thought they could have done a little bit more within each story arc. Like, and that's just me personally. Again, doesn't deviate from the greatness of the show. I'm not taking that away from them at all. That's just a personal preference. Oh, I would have liked maybe a couple of more episodes to flush out some of this stuff a little bit more.
Let me ask you this then. I'm just playing a little devil's advocate at this point. Would extending the episode a little bit would have worked? Like, would that have worked for you instead of like just making more episodes?
Maybe. I mean, tomato, right? Episodes that are too long, it's like you got to find the time to watch it. But at the end of the day, whether it's a separate episode or it's just tacked on to the episode before it, like it's still the same amount of time. At the end of the day, the equation still works out the same. So I wouldn't have a preference there. It was just some of the things I think I would have liked to have seen fleshed out more personally. That's it. That's literally my only like small criticism of the show that I wouldn't even call a criticism, because I absolutely would go to bat for this show 100% as one of the greatest shows of all time.
Yeah, you're just saying it was so good that you would have liked more.
There we go.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Perfect way to put it.
I'll agree with that. I would not have been upset about one or two more episodes, especially like you said in the mountains or even around some of the other stuff that I don't want to spoil too much. But yeah, I think my personal opinion, this is total speculation on my part, is that they maybe HBO got burned a little bit with Game of Thrones, and they were like, okay, you got to wrap this up cleanly. Yep. You can't drag this shit out. Like first season, if you kill it, we'll let you do what you want with the second season. But I feel like first season, they felt like they needed to just keep it tight, get through the first part of the game, deliver what we wanted. And then the second season, I'll be really interested to see where they go with the second season, because I'll be honest, I don't have as high of hopes, just because the story of the second game is not quite as compelling. I don't feel personally. It will be good. I'm sure it will be good, but it has, I think, more potential to go off the rails, lose us spending some time on characters that we don't necessarily love or even really care about. So it'll be a little bit of a minefield in the second season. But again, when they deviated in this season, they did it right. They expanded on characters that I didn't really pay that much attention to or even know about. In the case of the one episode with DLC that was a flashback, didn't even know about it. Still an amazing episode. So like at this point, they've earned my trust. I've said this before. I'm here for the ride, so we'll see what happens.
Part two.
Any thoughts before we get into the spoiler part?
Yeah, part 2 of the game is like very divisive, right? Like there are people who love it, there are people who hate it. I personally love it. I think they did an amazing job with part 2 in the story. Like it was different and fresh. It wasn't like the same thing, but like you very much felt the consequences of the first game constantly throughout the second game.
Yes.
So I was a huge fan. My only gripe with the second game was I just felt like it was absolutely too long. I remember getting to what I thought was the end, and then there was this whole nother part, and I was like, all right, like it's time to wrap this shit up. Like, but other than that, I love the second game just about as much as I love the first one. I'll be interested to see how they do in the show. So, but like you said, they have my faith.
Yep. They've earned it at
For
this
sure.
point. Daddy Pascal, I'm here for it.
Daddy
All right, so
Pascal.
do we
All right,
want
so
into the
spoiler alert. Put it up
Yeah,
on the screen
I
now
got
if
it.
you
It's
want.
up
We
there.
are
It's
now
up there,
going to
bro.
talk about the last episode and the ending of the game. If you have not seen the end of the show, mute us, but please stay in here because we need your view, please. Justin gave me a warning about the first episode here. He said it starts out intense, and boy, did it. And this was another thing that I literally, the birth of Ellie, and it never even crossed my mind. Like it crossed my mind, like, oh, like she probably had parents at some point, but that was like as far as I got with it. The fact they tied it in with Marlene, they're best friends. She gets bit like right as she's giving birth. Like, could that be what made her immune? Like, do we know? Like, I have so many thoughts about this, but I want to hear y'all's.
First of all, did you know that was the voice actor of Ellie in the
Yes,
I found out at the after episode thing, and I
Yep,
was like,
that was
I
crazy.
wish I had known that before because it was fucking cool. Because
How could you not?
The-
It literally sounded. I was like, this
I-
sounds like
it
Ellie.
did, it
I was
did.
like, it
I
sounds
was
like
like-
her.
I was like, man, she sounds so much like her. You're absolutely right. I should have known that. Did you know that the guy that got the knife in his neck in the episode before was the
Yes.
voice of Joel?
Yes, Troy
I
Baker.
did not.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He didn't sound like Joel as much though when he was
no,
doing
he didn't.
his.
He didn't.
Anyway, I'm sorry. Jumping. Go ahead.
Ryan, I think you. So I texted you guys about this, right? Like, I was a fan of the mystery in the game that we didn't know how Ellie became immune. I actually watched the after credits scene, they do the behind the scenes for the episode for this last one, and they did confirm that that is basically the reason that she's immune. Is because she got bit, or because her mom got bit as she was giving birth to her. Here's my gripe with that, right? We've had hundreds upon hundreds upon hundreds of references for zombie apocalypse, right? I'm not even a fucking doctor, and the first thing I would have thought of in a zombie apocalypse of oh, how do we get immunity? Is children that are born during the fucking apocalypse. I feel like that's rule one. So for them to show that that's the reason that she's immune, and then we basically inferred that no doctor, anybody thought of this as an idea and tried to test it before we even got to this point. I personally feel like it was a miss, and I feel like they should have left it as a mystery so we didn't know, because I find it unbelievable that this pandemic or apocalypse has been going on for 20, 30 plus years, and nobody thought about oh, well, we probably should do some testing on some kids that were born after the apocalypse, or even just having the conversation around what happens if somebody was born as the person was infected but hadn't turned yet. I feel like that's zombie 101 stuff when it comes to finding immunity and finding cures. So I felt like that was a miss, again, for me. Not enough to say oh, this was poorly done or anything. That's just what they decided to go with. It is what it is. It's not anything too crazy. I thought the scene was really, really powerful, though, like you said, Nick, for the reasons that you stated. Them connecting, Marlene to Ellie's mom, them using the original voice actor. It's those small touches that really, really make this show great.
Yeah.
I'm going to disagree, because think about the logistics of this. It's not just kids born after the apocalypse. It's kids who have been exposed to it. Any kid who is already born and exposed to it is a zombie and dies, as we saw in the first episode. Remember, they killed that kid and Pedro Pascal's burning him. So how many chances are you going to get a live, healthy baby from an infected mother? Not many. Anybody who gets infected is probably going to get shot immediately, or if there's no one around to shoot her, then she's disgusting and fucked up by the time that anybody even notices her. So I feel like it's realistic enough to say that chances never happened before, that she was exposed for that little of a time that it was enough to give her immunity, but not enough to kill her. I'm with it, but at the same time, I wouldn't have been upset if they would have left it a mystery.
So I agree with you, but I disagree in terms of in the first few years, sure. But let's be honest, people do some really fucked up shit during the apocalypse. Me personally, and this may be a disagreement with people in the chat, but I would be a fucking savage during an apocalypse. Whatever we can do to survive, we're gonna do. And again, based off of my quote unquote knowledge of seeing other references of zombies, the first thing I would be is well, maybe not the first thing, but once we got to a certain point, I'd be we should probably find a pregnant woman. Let's infect her as she's having a baby and let's see what happens. Personally, because we've seen this in other meetings before. So
you're the minority on that one, bro.
I personally would have tried.
No, you're the only one on that motherfucker, dog.
I would have tried any. I mean, at this point though, with what you know about zombies, with what you know about apocalypses and how this shit could happen,
it's not up to you.
Would you not be willing to try anything to figure this shit out?
You might be willing to, but try and get that mom and dad to get on board with it.
Hey,
exactly. I want to see how you're gonna get the pregnant mom,
because he's gonna go Pedro Pascal on your ass and murder you and your entire fucking building.
I'm gonna hold a gun to their face and make them do it, just like when they shot Sarah. They got orders and they were I mean, literally this show. I mean, a big premise of this show is about people doing unthinkable things because it's an apocalypse, right? I feel like that would fall right in line. Damn the humanity piece of it. I'm trying to save humanity. That's just me personally. I disagree. So.
You just think motherfuckers gonna be I volunteer as tribute. Here go my pregnant ass
no,
wife.
I don't.
You think that's what's gonna happen?
I don't. I'm going to volunteer them as tribute, and there's not gonna be anything they can do about it. Sorry.
You can't fucking do that. Jay, they gonna shoot your ass.
What? How are they gonna shoot me, Ryan? If I have guns on them, if I kidnap them and make this happen, how are they gonna shoot me?
I see what he's saying. If you have someone who's not a Joel is like a fucking like superhero. Like if it had been anyone else, like you just hold a gun to their head and be like, "What are you gonna do about it?" I get
Exactly.
it. I mean, I disagree, but I get it.
You got to
I think that
We've
ties
seen
right
worse.
into the ending, though.
we
we know where
right?
Justin falls on the big question of the ending was Joel dead right or wrong?
That's everybody's question, and I mean, I don't know, man. You got to protect the kids, right?
Because here's what we know. We know why he did it, obviously.
Right. Clearly.
We know, or we have a pretty good idea that Ellie wouldn't have wanted him to do it.
Of course.
Because of what their whole conversation they had on the balcony beforehand.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I mean, he's lying to her. That's wrong. But at the end of the day, like, is all of humanity worth sacrificing this one person? It's the trolley car. Have you guys heard of the trolley car dilemma?
Yeah. Nope.
It's a taught in like ethics classes where you have a trolley car that is on a path to kill like 5 people that are strapped down, like Old West cartoon style. They're strapped to the tracks. The trolley car is heading towards them. You have the ability, you're standing at the switcher, and you have the ability to switch that trolley to another track that's going to kill one person. So the question is, do you do nothing and let 5 people die, or do you do something and purposefully cause the death of one person? You have now directly caused the death of a person instead of like standing by and letting 5 other people die.
Take one to save many. I get it.
I mean, there's also other like, theories behind that too, because there's the whole thing of like you always see in movies where they're like, let's take the Titanic for example, right? And they're like women and children first, but ideally, like in a survivor type situation, it shouldn't be based off women and children. It should be based off people who could actually contribute to like a society that you're like trying to keep up, right? So like let's say everybody in the world was dying and you had to pick who got to live. Like you need to pick architects and people who like doctors. Like it's not based off of like, oh, women and children. So it's all of these like moral and ethical dilemmas. But Nick, you said you know where I stand. Actually, not quite. Objectively, if you're looking at this objectively in like a vacuum, you obviously save humanity, right? You're talking millions upon millions of people. You're talking the end of a pandemic. We can go back to some sort of life as we know it, right? Objectively, I understand. You don't save Ellie. You let her die so that she could save everyone else. Personally, I understand completely where Joel's coming from. At the end of the day, I am my own person. Like in an apocalypse, I don't really give a fuck about anybody else. So personally, if I look at Ellie as like my child and I feel like I need to save her, then I would do it. Like, so, but I will say the one big key to this though is too, there's a difference between them saying this is a 100% guarantee cure that's going to happen and oh, this is maybe a cure. Like they still had to like basically like dissect her brain, develop the cure, and it may not even fucking work. So based off of that fact alone, there's a lot of gray area in there. Now, if you can guarantee me it's going to create a cure, it's going to save the world, then I might have to think about it, even from a personal standpoint. But based off of a maybe, nah, fuck that. I would have done what Joel did, and I would have lit their asses up.
Dude, so we knew that scene was going to be lit because I remember in the game, the whole time you are struggling for every little bit of ammo you can find. You're taping together like knives, like scissors to like sticks to like kill people, and you're saving every little bit of ammo you can. That shitty little pistol to pop the clickers when they're coming at you, and finally it gives you an M4 and it's just like go ham, like kill fucking everybody. And I knew going into this episode, I was like, if they do this the way that I think they're gonna do it, it's gonna be crazy. And it didn't quite get to the level that I wanted it to, but it reminded me of that scene from Creed 3, the unmentioned scene where all the sound cuts out and you literally just like he is dead, dude. He played that so well where he was just dead. He's like, I don't give a fuck about any of you. You are all dying. Yep. I'm just killing you. Like he's just deadpan, just going through murder and everybody. Doctor comes to the room. Doctor's like, I'm not gonna let you take it. He's just like instantly zero
ass off with this shit.
It was made, dude. No, there is no question here in that man's eyes. And I love that there's been these like peaks that we've gotten to see of that side of Joel like 2 or 3 times throughout the season, where it's like this dude like you do not want to be on his bad side because
this
he
is
will
why
do
he made it
fucking
across
anything.
all of these states, right? Because he's a fucking savage. The doctor scene was very, very huge because that obviously plays a significant role in part 2 of the game. So not going to give any spoilers there, but it's very
Oh shit, yeah.
it's very important, and there are significant consequences because of that. So I'm with you, Nick. I could have used a little bit more. Like, I don't know. I wanted a John Wick style scene where like this man is just like popping people, and as they fall, he like catches the gun and just like capping folks. But obviously, this is not that type of show. We'll get that type of movie later on this month when we go see John Wick 4. I thought they did it very well. They made it very personal.
Yeah.
Like you said, they cut out the sound. It was very deep, emotional, like you felt it. I mean, they knocked it out of the park. So,
yeah.
It was great.
So yeah, I'm very excited to see what season 2 holds. Again, trying not to get my hopes up as much, but it's hard when they did this good a job. And at the end of the day, like if this ends up being another Game of Thrones, like that falls apart at the end, so be it. We got the perfect season of television.
We'll just talk about season 1. That's all we'll talk about.
Right.
We'll just look at the game again and talk about the game.
I already played the game like 3 times, dude. I don't know if I can play the game again, but
cool.
Chat has been quiet. I don't know. I guess a lot of people haven't watched it yet.
No, they
maybe.
probably listened to us and muted the shit. Like, I don't want to spoil it. So they listen to us.
But,
appreciate
it.
Hey,
that's the name of our show. Spoiler alert. And I have 2 spoiler alerts on the screen right now. Let me get rid of one. There we go. All right. That's it for the day, man. We talked about a lot. So if you're still listening, tuning in, don't forget to hit that follow button on Twitch so you never miss one of our live shows. Again, we stream every Monday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern time. Also follow us on Twitter and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Please do both. And the handle for both is @spoileralert, the number 4, the letter U. Again, that's @spoileralert, the number 4, and the letter U. If we spoiled something for you today, sorry, not sorry, because we're just talking about the things we love. Also, spoiler alert, we are going to be hopping on Rainbow Six Siege. We're bringing it back out. Lex is not here, unfortunately. I think she is doing things with moving into her house, but she really pushed for us to start playing Siege again because we just have such a good time when we do that, right, guys? So I will be putting the stream on pause. We'll be taking a quick break, and then us as well as one of our other friends, we're going to be loading up on some Siege. So stay tuned for that. Outside of that, spoiler alert, we do love all of you, and we will see you next week.
Yeah, buddy.
Later.
Shut up, Holly D.